Before I ask to sign the minutes, or if I should sign them, I have a problem. Well, if we say, are you agreed that the minutes are a record of the correct proceedings? And I won't ask if I should sign them as a correct record, because I don't think they are. Nothing again to do with Joe. But first of all, I'm really disappointed in the PA system. When I was home, I couldn't even hear half that was said, let alone we have problems at the meetings. I think it's the best thing if I leave that instead of signing it as a correct record until a bit later on. Next, there's no public participation, is there? No? Well, you come to the election of a new chair or vice chairman following the resignation. Have we any proposals? Or hands up and saying, I'll do it delightedly?
Would you be prepared to carry on as chair?
No.
No? Okay.
So, have we got any proposition for chairman?
I think Jim should do it.
Sorry?
Jim has the experience, and I would propose him.
Who?
Jim.
Jim? Have we got a seconder?
I'll second that.
Any other proposals? No? Well,
If no one else is, I'll put my name forward for the.
hang on, man, you mean a hurry like always.
Sorry, I misunderstood.
We haven't finished with Jim yet.
Okay.
Right. Nobody else? You're the chairman then, Jim. And, well, before that, I would just like to say, hand over to you that I think we should alter the agenda around a bit, because we've got young Mr. Haywood there from Hicks & Co. Instead of hanging, we might be 3 hours yet. And I'm sure his family will be looking for him before then. So, well, yes. Well, we move on then to the vice chairman.
Were you prepared to continue, Trevor?
No.
Right. I'll move Richard then. I'll second that.
Any others? No. Right. I will do my bit and hand over to these two gentlemen. Good luck. Didn't like this thing anyway. Got it. But I'll probably have more to say in a minute.
Yeah, don't worry, I'll let you say it. Do you want the agenda, Trevor?
Eh?
Do you want the agenda?
It's all right. Oh, okay then.
Yes.
Save me kicking Jim in the leg too often.
Yeah, it's fine.
How did you click this on, Trev? Hello. Trevor, how did you click it on?
Oh, he's already on, I think, but oh, I got to click your lot.
Oh.
I had to get David to do this, you know.
It might be better to have it on the table. You can hear rustling and breathing if you're not careful. You'll drown everyone out, Jim.
Because I've got a big mouth, is that what you're going to say? Okay. Right. Thank you, Trevor. Obviously, a difficult time. And I heard what Trevor said about Andrew, which no doubt we'll take next on the agenda. Just to say that I'm not becoming the permanent chair of the parish council. I'm not standing down when the May elections come, and look forward to a host of people standing for the parish council. We've got 9 seats, and to have an election would be a very pleasant experience. It's a long time since we've had one. And so we'll go on to the meeting. We've public participation. We've gathered there's nobody wants to raise anything there. Okay. Election of chair and vice chair we've dealt with. Clerk's report. I think, though, before we do that, Andrew, you'll want to get away anyway, so perhaps you'd like to... Could you... There's a lot of people here who don't even know who you are, what you do, who you work for.
Yeah, no, that's fine.
I think it would be quite useful to explain that and your role and relationship with the parish council, which is a joyous one.
Yeah, so for those who don't know, I'm Andrew Hayward. I grew up just outside of the village. No work for Robert H. Hicks & Co. So we're a firm of chartered surveyors. We practice at West Heel, just outside of the village. And our main involvement really with the parish council predominantly is with Thornley Moor, which is up over towards Stib Cross, which is quite a large area of Triple SI land, which the parish council are involved in, which has grazing rights and is subject to a higher level stewardship agreement. So that was set up in 2010, I think it was from memory. And then the cattle grids were put in. It was fenced and livestock was reintroduced after probably 50 years of not really having very much done. And since that, then there's graziers who receive the payments and things for it. And then there's commoners who also get payments, but it's managed by the parish council on behalf of those commoners. So I'm here really because that agreement, the initial one, there was a 10-year term. That has come to an end, and we've been offered annual rolling extensions, and we have now been offered a 5-year extension, which is what the RPA and DEFRA have done across the board. RPA is Rural Payments Agency, for anybody who doesn't know. They administer the payments and are part of DEFRA, the Department for Environment, Food and Rural Affairs. So they have been doing for the last 2 or 3 years, we've had an annual rolling extension to that higher level agreement. They have now decided to offer everybody who's still got one of the old agreements a 5-year extension so that we haven't got to go through that process of extending and doing it all. Having said that, to extend for 5 years, obviously there's a lot changing in terms of rural payments and farm subsidies. They have told us that if something better comes along within that 5 years, we can swap. So although it is a 5-year agreement, that would be a maximum of 5 years, and you're not tied in for that 5 years and blocks you from going into anything else. So if something better comes along, we could shut that 5-year extension early and still get into anything new that may at some point come along, but there's been a lot of talk about new things going forward. I've had a bit of a look at the figures and things, and the current annual payment we are looking at is £8,873 per annum, roughly. If you were to, you could look to not extend and go into a new higher tier agreement. You'd be looking slightly less, about 8,700 or so. It's not a lot in it if you extend for the 5 years or if you go into a new agreement. Obviously, if you look to go into a new agreement, you're going to probably have to pay somebody to do an application. And that is from what I have done, from what your current agreement is. I've just copied that into what the new options would be. From experience of doing that on a couple of other ones, they haven't come out quite as good as what they were. And actually, other people elsewhere, it's difficult because a lot of them had larger farms, they had other fencing on other land to do. So they weren't that worried that their revenue payment was going to be slightly less because they were going to pick up fencing on other land. For you, because you've had fencing previously and everywhere that you would want a fence is done, except the fences aren't perfect everywhere because it's been 10 years and it's very wet. But DEFRA will not grant fund a fence which has previously received grant funding. So anything that needs replacing, it's not like if you came out of this existing agreement and went into a new one, they wouldn't pay to replace some of that fencing. So my opinion is that you should extend, but it is entirely up to you. And if you've got any questions about that or anything, you don't have to decide today. We have until your current agreement, the year end is the end of May. So you've got until then to decide. I've got all the paperwork. If you decide tonight, I can sign and do whatever we need to tomorrow as authorised agent for the parish council. But if you want to talk about it any more, if you've got more questions or anything, then yeah, feel free to ask.
So the level of service will be the same in terms of what we get from the agencies?
The money, there's a stand on it is purely what they are offering is an extension of your existing agreement. So your revenue money would stay exactly the same and continue. There have been, last week, they revised a lot of the revenue options for the annual options under the new agreement or under the newer scheme. But the options which actually would be applicable to you and Thornhead Moor, only one of those actually went up. And it hasn't made, because we looked at this, I found what I did back in 2019 when we had the first extension and were offered that first extension, and then you were looking at, I think it was about £300 different, whereas now you're down to, it's not massive, it's £100 even if that now, but it would mean, yeah, looking at a new agreement and going through applying, and you don't always get what you apply for, whereas at least with the existing agreement we know what we're going to get. You can carry it on for 5 years and you'll keep getting the same. Like that.
Trevor? You want to ask?
Sorry?
You want to ask any questions?
I'm just catching up on my notes here. Yeah, I have a question. Or just to Andrew. All that we've got in the kitty at the moment, that's solely for use on Thornhead Moor.
Correct. And there is some work up there to do, which part of that is replacing stakes, which obviously are gone, particularly on the south side of the moor towards like neighbouring like Dovey's Moor, opposite Coles Plant Yard there. That is very wet. I've walked that in the middle of June and still nearly lost a welly down there. It is very wet. So there are stakes there that need to be replaced and done. And there's also scrub clearance, particularly sort of where Coles Plant is, up over that side. There's scrub clearance along the top that needs doing. I'm talking to contractors in a minute to try and find somebody who will do it, which has proven slightly more difficult because it's got to be done by hand and nobody's too keen on doing that at the minute, but we will find somebody to do it.
Okay, thanks. George?
Yeah, you mentioned if we go into the new scheme, they will not pay money to repair fences. They won't pay money to repair fences on its old scheme, will they?
No. So there's no. They won't. You can't get any capital items if you extend it. It doesn't. You can't apply for more fencing or anything either. So, yeah, it's very difficult when you've had previous schemes and there was a lot of money. I mean, last time I think it was about 110,000 or so of capital works, which included like the fencing, the initial scrub clearance, and the cattle grids.
Yeah, so basically it's just to do repair work.
Yeah.
If we go in the old scheme, with all these new carbon credits that could be available sometime in exchange with like BOC looking to lay off their carbon emissions and whatever. Is it an advantage or disadvantage to start a new scheme and then apply for it, or the old scheme? If we're still in the old scheme and we apply for carbon credits, would that affect your old scheme?
No, it shouldn't do. You should be able to stack the two on top of each other because your old scheme will continue and then your carbon credits is a separate item because that will be managing the grassland as permanent grassland, and then you'll sell that on the open market. So you'll be able to stack those on top of each other.
And now they're issuing grants for tree planting or whatever. If we're in the old scheme, would we be allowed to go for these extra tree planting grants on extra park areas out there if we wanted to? There are extra money for the parish council. Would we be allowed to do that on the old scheme, or would we have to go to a new scheme to be able to do that?
You wouldn't be able to do it on this old scheme at Thornlead Moor. You could do it on a new scheme if you took some of that land out of a scheme and put it into a different one, so that you have sort of your higher level, your management one, and then you would have a tree planting scheme which would be separate, that you couldn't have the two on the same parcel of land. So
could we take an area out of we're going to roll it into we're going to take the option to roll it into the old scheme to go on. When you roll it, would it be feasible, or would it be possible, would they allow an area to be took out for tree planting and still roll over our old scheme for another 5 years on a lesser area?
no, it is a carbon copy of what there is. So it is a rollover, it is an extension of all, it is all or nothing. So you take it on as it is with the options.
Yeah.
If you want to change anything, you come out and you reapply for a new one.
But on a new scheme, we would be allowed to put a smaller area in, or it'd be two different schemes then?
Yeah, you would have the option to split it, and you could put part of the land into management as it is, as permanent grassland, as species-rich grassland, and then you could have tree planting on a separate area.
I understand it. You cannot put trees on SSR.
Correct.
But not all of the area is SSR.
Not all of it. So there are the two sections. There's the largest section that runs back towards Stib Cross, and then the opposite side of the Four Cross Way, where the Fairy Shrimp Pond is, that area is triple SI. But there's the large section running up the road from Coles Plant Hire, that's not triple SI, and the area the other side by the Buckland Brewery, that area is not triple SI either. No, so there's two pieces. If you take the Four Cross Way and take it as 4 quadrants, 2 are and 2 aren't.
So the SSI area would be what, 20 acres?
More, it's quite big. That piece particularly running back through towards Holwell and back towards Stib Cross.
The total area there's about 110, 120 acres?
Yeah, I don't know if it'll be in here exactly how big the triple SI is, but yeah, it's quite a big area because those two sections would be 2 of the bigger parts.
Yeah, we still got 100 acres.
Yeah.
That's not.
Yeah, no, there'd still be quite a bit that isn't.
The biggest problem you have is electric cables.
Yeah.
Electric wires going over the top.
Yeah.
There would be a lot that would be taken out.
Yeah, you have an area where that's well, it's just an idea that it can be floated.
But I was just pointing out pros and cons.
Fr-
But the area cable probably won't let us have. I don't know where they
Fritz, you live in the middle of Thornlead Moor, come on. What's your view?
Well, we quite like the management plan that was put in when the scheme started, how the quadrants were divided and the management that was set up, which meant that the quadrant that we're actually in was going to be left to go back to woodland there as it is. So that was in the management scheme when the scheme started. And we quite like that. So if that's one of the areas that you're thinking you might want to plant some trees, all that will happen is that those trees will go a bit quicker.
I am not suggesting we do it at all. I just saw there is options that can be to maximise
No, that's opposite side of the
it's
road,
not.
isn't it?
But in the current management plan, that's going to be left.
Yeah.
Left to rewire, if you like. So to plant trees there, I don't think there's that much to be gained. And the other bit that isn't a typical size, the as you come from Buckland Brewer straight across the crossway on the right-hand side after you go. This is an area that really hasn't got that much going for it. Coles used to manure it for their cows and then cut it so many times a year. So it's not. So if you wanted to improve the area, and you were looking for someone to plant trees, then that would be the area to go for.
Please, I'm not suggesting we do plant trees, that's just saying there's common practice, whatever, maximise. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm not putting in a tree area at all, just.
Okay. All right. Thanks, George. Thanks. One last question. That the 8,750 you said, wasn't it, something like that?
Yeah,
Right.
about that.
Would that be incremental in terms of inflation, or would it stay the same over
It's
the 5?
flat rate.
Flat
so
rate
it
for
hasn't
5 years.
changed for
Okay.
the full duration.
All right. Personally, I think it's worked well, and I see no reason why we shouldn't continue with the 5 years. But I need people who've got a bit more expertise on this than me to say something. Trevor?
Well, I would be in agreement with that.
And George? Fritz? Yeah. It seems you got an
Come out any time.
yeah.
If we change our mind next year, 18 months' time, if something else either comes along or we have an extra spark, and you sort of think, oh, why don't we do this? And we still can.
That's the thing, is that they are talking about looking at like local nature recovery schemes. There's a lot of different schemes coming, so we're told, one day. Unfortunately, the government's a little bit busy with various other things that sort of farm subsidy, rural subsidy has slipped down the agenda a bit. And that was one thing I did double check, was that if you sign this 5 years, can we get out of it? Well, every year, in effect, we do a claim in May to get your 8,000. That is for 12 months. So at the end, your agreement deadline is the 31st of May every year because of when we went in. So in effect, every year we got sort of this time of year, we can have a look, see what there is. And actually, if we look and think, hang on, that looks better than what we're in now, we can get out. So although it is a 5-year extension, and historically that would have been it would have been 5 years gone, it's not like it now, because a lot of it is hang-ups because yours is an old EU agreement, which there are 8,500 of them left, but everything that new is coming is under domestic policy, and they have always said anybody who is on an EU agreement will not be shortchanged and will be allowed to swap to domestic if they want to. So you'll always have that option, but you've always got that fallback that you know you're guaranteed what you're going to get for the 5 years. After that, I expect you will be onto a domestic, which might not be quite as good by then.
One last question. Remind me when we get the payment. What time of the year?
You've just had one.
just had
Literally
one?
last month you should have had one.
Oh.
Yeah, because as I say, I had the paperwork come through the other day.
And then we could have paid the money to some to the graziers anyway.
Yeah, we got to pay
and
the
then
graziers.
that's, I
We
forget.
don't do that until
It's later.
later in the year, though,
Yeah, I
do we?
think it's June time, but I'll speak to Joe and we'll liaise on that
Yeah.
and work through that.
Okay. Can you explain to our audience what we do? Because I want people to go away
No, that's
knowing
right.
how this is managed
So-
and what happens.
In terms of the common, if you take like Dartmoor is sort of your typical common, that there are a lot of farmers and things who have grazing rights for that, which is no different. Thornhill Moor, there's a list of graziers, there's a list of houses, they all have grazing rights to graze on Thornhill Moor, which historically they all would have put 3 cattle or whatever, 2 ponies, whatever they had the rights for. When this was set up, and a lot of it, there is only now 1 active grazier, and because of the TB rules and things, it gets very complicated. If you have a lot of people grazing, if one of them goes down with TB, whilst everybody's cattle's on the moor, it can get very complicated. So it was agreed between all of the graziers that one person would graze it. Now, as part of that, and because they have the rights to them all, they all get a payment every year for owning those rights. In effect, they're being paid for not grazing it and for using it. And then the grazier also gets a payment because they are managing it in a certain way in line with the agreement. So all of them get a payout which is agreed every year at a set rate that hasn't changed. It's the same every year. So then there's still money. There's money in the pot now that we can use to do sort of the fencing and things that needs to be done, because it is very wet up there and fencing stakes don't last forever, and when they're in water they last a lot less. So it's always been sort of done with the mind that there is money available to keep up this management and not let it go back, because then, like, if this money were to stop or if it were to reduce, at least there's still more money there available, so the pot isn't run down to zero every year. We've sort of slowly been building up a bit of a hedge fund, I suppose, to get us through like that.
It's the biggest capital expenditure we've ever had as a parish council.
Yeah.
We spent 70,000 quid on the cattle grids. Yeah. Right, thank you, Andrew, for that.
Devon County Council.
I know they give us the money, but it's the biggest one we've done. I think.
Sure, sorry.
Yeah, go on.
Yeah. We meet once a month.
Mm.
May's going to soon come around. Have we agreed that we instruct Andrew?
I thought we had done that.
We've done.
Yeah, we've done that.
That's fine. I will sort the extension and get all that signed up tomorrow
Thanks.
and sent off, and then, yeah, I'll sort out the claim and everything come May.
All right.
All right?
Yeah, thank you for your time, Andrew.
No
Thank you
problem,
for
that's
coming
all
over.
right.
Much greatly appreciated.
Yeah, good to see you all.
Yeah, and you too.
Go and have your tea.
That's right,
Oh, have fun.
Where are we here? Agenda. Okay. Right, we've done 186. We've done that. We've done that. Right. Joe, can we have the clerk's report?
I've covered most of it in the correspondence list that I've sent you. We had more fun and games with Barclays though today. Jim's had a conversation as a signatory, but basically Barclays have bounced a cheque for because it didn't adhere with the mandate, which wasn't the case at all. So I need to resolve that for the payee, but that is all in hand, and hopefully this will be sorted now. Right, the other things just to quickly highlight. Alison Holmes, the area sales manager, has just come back to me since sending this over, asking if the meeting could take place by telephone.
No.
Yeah, I've already preempted that, so I'm waiting to hear back about a potential date, so I'll liaise with you once I know more. I've asked when she's in the area.
Suggest we push them again,
Yeah,
because there's lots of questions we want to ask.
yeah, I've already done that. She's only based in Tiverton, so
Oh,
it's not a million miles
backside,
away.
the other option, sorry Trevor, the other option I thought about, if they still refuse, we can't make them, is to have a Zoom meeting with them. We could do that.
Yeah, we can do, but you know.
Yeah, I know.
We've been trying to fix it up since October.
I know. They're very difficult.
Yeah.
Go on, Trevor,
I
sorry.
was going to say, did they pay up what they said for the fireworks?
No.
No. No.
I spoke to the bloke who's down in the cupboard down in the shed, and they say whether I'm not quite sure if he's a sales officer, but he was very positive about things, but he didn't know anything about the fireworks, but I think he'd only just started. So.
Was that the sales staff or the foreman?
Well, no, he's just one of the sales.
Yeah, I don't think they have much. All they do is selling houses. They don't know much.
He's like the agent for them, isn't he?
Yeah, so I don't know if he was head of sales or anything else.
Okay. I've written to the Field and Allotments subcommittee asking for agenda items for the meeting on the 30th, but I'll just mention it here in case any other councillors have got any agenda topics they want to be discussed. If you can let me know by the 19th, please. The defibrillator is in at Thornhill Head. It needs to be registered on the circuit. There's some outstanding information I need to do that. So I will get that information and get that on there for the end of the week. And I will communicate that, you know, across the parish once it's up and running. What else to... Councillor Pennington, I pasted in his update into that correspondence document, so you know, it was all pretty straightforward, but no doubt some of it will come up in the budget discussions anyway.
Can I just say, Jo,
Yeah.
that the defibrillators come out of a legacy from Bruce Brown, who many of you might have known, might not have known, who died 3-4 years ago. 3 years? Longer than that?
Time goes on.
Your brother,
When he died.
when he died,
It was a 7 then. It's the 7th and 22.
27
27th and 26. 6 years ago.
6 years ago, right. And he left a legacy to the parish council to provide defibrillators in the parish, which we greatly received, and that bulk of that money is used on that. So it's not come out of your taxes.
The only other things just to quickly highlight for the benefit of everybody here is the government introduction of ID for voters. That is effective from this coming election in May. There is going to be a major publicity campaign, so we won't have to do anything ourselves, although we just need to make sure we post it in all the various places that we have access to make sure that the message gets out there. And I guess if there is anybody that we know who's you know, going to struggle with that, then we can offer assistance in getting them the proper registration document. There is going to be an application process for anybody who's not got photographic ID, but I would suggest that they're going to have to get in fairly quickly because people are going to be absolutely bombarding them.
Is this going to be ready? Is Torridge going to be ready for it?
Well, they haven't got a choice. It's a
No choice.
But there again.
yeah.
Yeah, they will go on the website, George.
Yes. Yeah. Yes, it will go everywhere. It will go everywhere.
Interesting to see why it's being done as well.
Yeah. It was only
The
announced.
crazy thing about it is that you can apply for a postal vote and you don't need to show your photograph.
Yeah.
There you go.
It was only announced on the 9th, so it is a very recent announcement. And I've notified the election team of Andrew's resignation, so I'm waiting to hear back from them. And that's it. Everything else was as already stated. And just to mention, on the correspondence update, I'm keeping a note of any outstanding actions or grants that we need to be applying for, just to keep them, you know, front and centre and we don't miss anything.
Right.
So one of the ones that we do need to do quite quickly is the Parish Paths Partnership. So I'll need to liaise with Richard to get that one done by the 13th of Feb.
Also, you mentioned a couple of meetings ago, I've seen an email from you about us registering about the 20-mile-an-hour speeding.
I've registered.
You've registered, haven't you?
Yeah.
Well done, thank you.
Yeah.
This is a campaign by Devon County Council for all urban and rural villages to have a legal 20-mile-an-hour speed. Okay, thanks, Joe. Right, outcome of generator assessment for Buckland Brewer and Methodist Chapel.
Sorry. I'm waiting for the date for a generator assessment, so we need to defer that one to next week.
Okay,
Can I come on that?
What was that?
Can I come in on that?
you can do, George.
Have you heard from Dick Gilbert? I thought he was waiting for you from here. I'll chase him up, and then he's going to need permission from the village hall, go in and look at it, and permission from here. details I assume that you'll get from you, David, yeah? So who does he contact for the village hall?
We've already got that, I've taken that.
Yeah, so if he contacts you, you got it?
Yeah, he knows all that.
Oh, he does? Okay.
All right. Well, we're deferring both decisions until we've got that information. Okay, fine, thank you. Update of Alison Homes you've given. Members' reports. Okay, we'll start with you, George.
There was something gone for the end. No, but I shall come back.
Okay. Fritz?
No, nobody's contacted me about anything.
Right.
But can I just mention that I've got 2 hearing aids, and I do struggle here in the meeting, particularly if the public speaks, I struggle. And when the last meeting I went on the website and tried to listen to that, and I was on my own in the house, and I could put up the volume as high as I wanted it, and I still struggled really badly with it. So I don't know if anybody else always knows what's going on, but I certainly don't. I miss more than I would like to admit, and I don't know if there's anything we can do to improve. I know it's been mentioned before, sound
Yeah.
system.
I've taken an action to investigate sound systems, so I've got that in hand. Essentially, there's loads and loads of options, but basically it's just a case of trying to find one. It will be lots of these, so rather than just having a... But there isn't very much other than having more of these portable ones.
There's only 2 channels on those.
Yeah, it's only 2 channels,
There's only 2
so
machines.
we need more than 2 channels on the computer, you see. I think the problem we've got is that when we hire the hall to hold a meeting, we hire the equipment as well. And you know, it's not our equipment. That's the first point. And we come into this problem, if we were to improve the sound system here, it will be direct onto the taxpayer to improve it. And we're not allowed to actually, legally, to give any money to the chapel. To actually improve things or do things within the same with the church as well. We're forbidden to actually do anything like that. So that's where we have some difficulty, I think, in actually improving it. And it would cost, I spoke to somebody today and they're talking that it would be about £10,000 to actually rip everything out.
There are other options though, without relying on the computer system,
Yeah.
because the hall system is a completely portable system. It is only 2.
But Joy, it won't link into the live stream.
That's the point. That's the point that Trevor was making, and that's the point that Fritz is making, and that's the point somebody made to me today, that it's very difficult if you're watching the streaming of the parish council to pick up what people are saying.
I mean,
because they're only this mic, that mic, and that mic.
Yeah, but if we have more microphones, then surely it will be louder.
Yeah, but what David said, the input in there is there's only 2.
and plus these microphones here. I mean, what we could do is that every time you speak, you grab hold of it and move it a bit closer and speak into the microphone. I mean, that's what we could do. He does move that one,
Yeah.
so you can move it about and you know, and just speak into the microphone clearly.
You could try that.
I mean, you know, I've done as much as I can.
Oh, I don't not blame you, David.
You know,
we're working at the limit of the equipment that we've actually
Yeah.
got. That's the problem.
you know.
Should we just sort of leave that and I'll share what I've got?
Yeah, okay. Yes, Brenda, go
I
on.
know I shouldn't, but...
I know, I'll let you know.
Can I just say something, because I endorse what Fritz is saying, and I've said, you know, we know what Bob has said, but that was really interesting, because David, when you spoke then into the mic,
Yeah.
you spoke louder. I'm sure you spoke louder, so why don't you all just speak a little bit slower?
And just kind of move the microphone about. That's all you got to do. And that one, you could take off the thing and just hand into one at a time. That's what you got to do.
Thank you, Dave. George.
Yeah. Sorry, I remember when
No,
you on the end or?
no, go back to you.
Yeah, snowboard, you're on the snowboarding scheme. I've got one run left of 2 tons.
Yeah.
We've used up, and now Devon County Council, because I've had 5 tons, will not supply FOC any more salt. So I've tried to explain to them we're the only parish that covers their butt. And we go out when they don't get here to get the village out and for welfare for the farm animals and chickens and feed and all that. We do our own, and I don't see why we should spend any money on salt to do what they should be doing. I haven't got very far. Do we take a chance that there ain't any more, or maybe one will run the snow? Do I still go and do what I can, finding everybody in Devon County Council to get free salt, what I reckon we were entitled to? And what do you want to, it's going to cost £275 a tonne.
So how many tons?
It's 2 tonne a run. We've got 2 tonnes left right there, 1 run. And he does, and also, is everybody happy with the routes I'm taking? That's the next thing I want to know.
I have no problems with the route you're taking. It's just another indication of Mr. Osborne, I'm afraid.
What about this?
I want to get living, Jim.
We can. Well, what about the salt bins? Are they full up?
I brought up, Richard Pandy went around looking at them. There's 2 he said I reported it to and spoke to someone who seemed to be an authority who actually allowed me to alter. He was on the website, and they said the website is going to alter it to Buckland Brewer Parish because you can only do 25-day bites. Well, after long, we could try it out. I told someone who was very helpful, very good, and I gave them bid numbers. Well, they were filled up, because I don't know. They were filled up, so all the bins are full. In the parish, they're all full, except for one that got disintegrated.
Someone did take all the salt out of the one at the Braddon Kennels.
Yes.
But that's now been filled.
Yeah. So I want, and also, I can't remember, they came around with PPE, 2 other shovels, and I forget, but I left one up here, but I think I let someone have it. You had one, Richard. Jim,
No, the village hall had it. We give it to the village hall.
the village hall.
You took it, did you? Shovel? Yeah.
And the PPE.
Yeah.
Yes, fine, so that was all done, so really I want to know.
So how many more tons do you think we need? I mean,
I would like to get another 5 tonnes. But I'm not going to pay for it.
oh no.
But it's going to be a hard fight.
So we don't meeting again. Well, we're meeting in a couple of weeks' time. Next week, in fact.
I got one run worth of salt left.
And how much a ton are they charging you?
They were going to charge me £275 a tonne. I'm going to take a chance. If they don't, I'm going to say we take a chance and see what happens. And then
Blame Devon County Council? No. Our parishioners won't understand that.
so I'll just push on and see what I can get. Yeah, I'm just telling you the situation. So.
We're doing the budget. Let's see what we've got in the budget, George. See if we can find you some money as a backstop.
Right. I mean, if we had another 2 tonne, 2 runs, that should take us through.
Yeah. Okay.
I think so.
All right.
But they did say, now we've got into January, sorry, sir. This is next year, right? So I'm hoping they'll use the argument, we're in next year, we're about last year's.
Use that argument. Have you had a word with our county councillor?
No, I haven't.
Well, it might be worth doing. Yeah, I would have a word with him.
Are you happy with what I'm doing?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Fritz, you done? Richard?
Yeah, a couple of things. Parish Path Partnerships, in your outstanding actions, I know that it needs to be submitted by the 13th of next month, the application. I've had a chat with them this week. They're prepared to finance the cutting of the hedges in Back Lane again this year, because we're going to have the same problems we did last year. Remember, it's all overgrown. So she's agreed that we can submit an application for 550, the same as last year. But we must spend our outstanding, and I think we've got 350 outstanding, because I haven't bought the equipment I was going to buy, because I wasn't sure I was carrying on. But if I go out and buy the equipment I needed, PPE, then that will spend that, and we can apply for the 550 for next year.
Okay.
Right. And just the other thing is, I need to report a near miss. Again, to do with the Parish Path Partnership. A few weeks ago, I was cutting or clearing one of the paths up near Eric Tucker's place. It was completely overgrown, and you couldn't see the footpath sign. So I went up there with a hedge cutter, petrol one, and while I was going down there, I nicked what looked like a water pipe that was crossing. It was a hose pipe, not a water pipe, or the ordinary garden hose that was crossing inside the hedges. You couldn't see it until you went through it. I only nicked it, and a bit of water came out of it, and I thought it was a turned off water supply, so I thought I'd go back and repair it and then let him know. When I got back, it was an electric cable that had been inserted into a hose pipe, and it had actually gone off. So I spoke to Eric, and it has been repaired, but from the point of view of a near miss, if I'd been electrocuted, I should think that there'd be a nasty investigation there. So what I've done, rather than leave it to him, I've made some signs up, little things that will hang on with some tape, saying overhead cables, beware, and I'll put them on there and leave it at that. So at least they're there. But it should have been in coloured ducting, red ducting, yeah, not in a hose pipe. But
we can't get signs that say danger.
well, I've already done it, made them. I've made them, and I've encapsulated them, and I will hang them on there with cable ties. So I won't have to
Is it mains electric or electric fence electric?
No, it's mains electric. It's a cable that went over to the sheds on the other side of the footpath.
Okay, fine. Anything else? You got, what we were discussing at the last meeting, we didn't actually tick the box, as it were.
Oh yeah, sorry. Thanks for that. Yeah. One other thing. The briefing I was giving at the last meeting. I do need to know the council's views on where we put this stop gate. I talked about a permissive footpath. That isn't the urgent thing at this stage. It's getting the stop gate put in the position we want. So. And it's not on the agenda, so I said to Joe that I would bring it up to the members' report. So I don't know if you remember what I was saying. We've got a gate, a stop gate between the playing field that goes into the parish field.
Mm-hmm.
And then you've got a small alleyway, if you like, to the new fence that was put in there to protect the sheep and everything.
Yeah.
So what I wanted to do, what I propose is that we've got to replace that stop gate. It's broken, and I've done a temporary repair. But what I want to do, rather than have it replaced in its existing position, to move it to the new fence. That way, at some later date, we can then look at the possibilities of a permissive footpath, as I discussed last week in the presentation. What I need from the council is just to agree that I can have it put into the new position, or leave it in the old position. It means nothing to me, but it's got to be replaced. So it's either one of the two. And my advice would be to have it in the new position. It gives us more options.
Yeah.
I was going to suggest that item went on the agenda for the next meeting, and we have a plan so that the parishioners, parish councillors, whatever, can see what we're talking about.
Well, I did that
I missed the last meeting, and this is news to me.
Well, with Trevor, with great respects, there was a plan, and it was pasted up, and that's what we had. We had a plan, and Richard gave a presentation as to what was happening. The only reason that we stopped and ended the discussion was that there were only 3 three of us left, I think. 3, 4 of us left. And we felt that it was right that we move it over to this meeting. I got the impression that the parish council were supporting Richard and what he was doing in the presentation he was making. I don't know if that was the view from other members of the... I'm getting nodded heads here.
It wouldn't be a verb mine.
No, I realise that. What would you prefer then?
Well, it's not in the minutes, for a start. That's not Joe's fault. I'm not giving it her, but, you know, we aren't... It was all very well people talking about they wanted to know the information. And then when there's something like this, the dog walkers that's up there, you know, they still go and walk around the field, which is, you know, it's bound to upset our tenant.
Yeah.
I think what I was trying to say in my presentation, though, was that we are not going to get the diversion that we want anytime soon. So whatever we do there, the existing footpath will stay, and you will always get people walking through that field.
The horns of the dilemma... Sorry, Richard. The horns of the dilemma we're on, Trevor, is this. Is that, as I explained at the last meeting, one of the problems we've got is with the settlement figure with Devon County Council. And the settlement figure and the way that Devon County Council are moving funds around this year, I think because their children's section has been put into special measures, and they're taking Rob and Peter to pay Paul clearly to turn that around. I got a contact inside Somerset County Council's plan, and they're 30 years behind. The problem we have, I don't disagree with what you're saying, and I really don't know, unless you stand at the gate and stop these idiots walking around the field, that we're going to get anything done in the near future. That's the problem. All we're going to remain is the status quo, and that's going to stay for a number of years. Now, there is a danger, as somebody warned me in Somerset, that we'll end up with two footpaths. But nonetheless, what I think Richard has offered is at least something as a barrier to that field. And I agree with you. I don't know the answer other than physically finally moving that footpath. But at the end of the day, we know the Devon County Council are not going to provide the legal means or the costs for actually doing that in the near future. The only footpaths they are moving are footpaths that are built over by housing development. So I have great sympathy with what you're saying, but the reality is that nothing will happen. I mean, that's the horns of the dilemma are. Do we do something, a little, as Richard has suggested, or do we just do nothing and wait and wait and wait and wait? And all these wonderful people that are coming on the parish council, I think, next April, they'll be long gone as well before we even able to actually do anything about it.
The beauty is it won't cost us anything.
Don't cost anything.
Nothing at all. All the costs will be met by the council. I mean, the problem now is the existing gate has only had a temporary repair. I've got a temporary spring on there that's keeping it from, that's making it close. I don't know how long it's going to last.
So is this the gate in the minefield, the bottom, or is this the gate?
No, this is the gate that's there now at the moment from the playing fields, right? Right. A new gate will be put on the other side, right?
The gate into your field
Yeah.
only need the detention tightens on the spring.
So they can create a permissive footpath, which is already there, up the side. So all we're going to do, Trevor, is have the same debate again in a fortnight's time, or 3 weeks' time.
If we can have a permissive footpath, and we do that later, and we can convince people to use it, it will stand us in very good stead when the money is available for the real diversion. If people are seen to be using it anyway, and we'll have all the signage pushing people that way. I mean, it's got to be replaced one way or another at some point, you know.
What are my fellow councillors feeling?
So where do you?
I was going to ask the fellow councillor.
So is it going to be moving from where that You want to move it from where it is at the moment, and where do you want to put it?
Just move it to the new fence. Move it
Oh, I
10
see.
feet.
You're moving
No, it's not
it
So
in.
it exposes
Yeah,
the
I see.
footway for the footway.
At the moment, David, it's there, look,
Yeah.
right? And what they want to do is put it there. So that footpath,
So it's
yeah,
blocking off really
yeah,
the
into the field.
the existing footpath across the field.
Yeah,
I mean, you could, if you wanted to, leave the existing gate in position, and if it fails, but still put a new stop gate, all singing, all dancing one, between the posts of the new fence.
It's a stop going from
Yeah.
the field into the playing field.
Into the playing field. So you wouldn't, where there is one now, you wouldn't have, there wouldn't be anything there.
There wouldn't be anything there at
It'd
all.
be just
Or
open.
you could leave it there and have a second one at the other side. So you'd still go through two gates, if you like, to get in there. But that way, it is a modern metal stop gate. There will be no issues with it being left open. It will always close behind itself. And it won't cost us anything.
Well,
I know you don't realise that we already got a gate that would go there.
we've got
Why
one.
would you want to pay for it and do it when someone's going to do it for us?
It's already paid for.
Yeah, but you've still got them. Someone's going to have to install it.
It's a proper footpath gate
Yeah.
with a swing shut.
Well, this is what the parish, the council are going to provide for us. It's not something I bought. This is being provided by the council and installed by the council. I have no agenda with it at all.
You need fuel gate, Trevor.
Down the bottom.
No, where it goes into my view, inside that fence, between the fence and the edge.
The new bit.
You need a gate where it goes into my view. So you'll need that gate there. So you got two gates there.
No, this one's really for the one against the lane. But it could be used elsewhere at the
Well,
moment. You know,
There's
that's,
gonna be after get, sorry.
The money's in the budget.
We'll have
The,
to have a gate from my field to the footpath, when it.
Because yours will be open.
when he goes out through the...
Yeah, yours will be open.
Yes.
Yeah.
So when I got livestock in, so you don't come back, walk through the footpath and into the playing field. So we're gonna have to go on there.
Right. What do we think? All right? All right?
I'm not happy with because it's not, the information is not freely distributed around the parish. But I've had my say.
All right.
well, you could put all that, could all go onto the website, couldn't you?
Yeah. Yeah.
I've still got the presentation. You could put something.
Yeah, we'll do that.
Just out of interest, how many people besides you knew about this gate? I didn't.
Well, you was on the council when we was doing the job.
Well,
No,
did you know there was another
Some time ago, I suspect. Yeah. Look, let's make some progress, shall we? Let's get it done. And-
Okay, I'll message the.
I know what you
I'll
must
speak
say.
to them.
Trying to reverse
I'll speak to them.
onto somebody else, but
All right. That's a
I
Trevor.
said you're just trying to reverse it onto me now, that's all.
No. Not at all. Go on. Right.
Okay,
Agreed.
I'll get that done.
Okay. Thank you.
That's all.
Yeah, I was going to raise the communication and PC meetings, so that's done. Joe, have we heard anything back from the battery people so that we can...
I had a message today saying that they were waiting for some information from the sales team about when it was going to be dispatched.
Oh, so it could be over the next week then? Good, all right. If you let me know, I'll put it in. All right. Okay. That's for the light speed light. Right. Trevor, anything else?
We got a leak in the playing field. But up by the, apparently by the allotments. So, but it's turned off out in the road at the moment. But that will have to be looked at sometime.
Do we need to get anybody in to repair it? I mean, is there no... the allotments have got no water at the moment then, is that what you're saying?
No, it's turned off at the moment.
turned off at the
Well,
moment.
it would have been anyway. That was the plan, to turn it off during the winter months, and then if it froze, we haven't got a problem with bus pipes.
So we need to get somebody to repair that then?
Yeah, there were a couple of jobs that Andrew had said that he would handle, but obviously now we do need to go externally to get that done.
Yep.
So there's the path as well. I mean, I know the weather's a bit against us anyway, but the
Oh, yeah,
bits of
rubbish.
equipment, that water pipe, and also the sign to go up in
Thornham Ball, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
So as soon as the weather improves a bit, then we can get something.
Well, the thing is, knowing how long it takes people to do things, getting contractors, well, if we get on with it now, I think we might see it this side of this, Easter or something like that.
It's not going to be fixed next week. So,
Is the leak underground or is it above ground, where the tap is?
Underground?
Do we know exactly where?
No,
Oh, right.
not yet.
Okay.
Jim reported it, and we haven't had we haven't been able to get up to have a look.
Okay.
Have you seen anything?
All right. Some jobs to do. Right. Barbara.
Nothing.
David.
Just as you know, I go to the Devon Association of Local Council County Committee. And I've seen today that their Devon County Council have set up a bus forum to discuss about buses or the lack of them around the county. And I think there's going to be 2 members of the county committee going on that. I don't know any more details than that. So they were looking for volunteers to do that.
Right. Let's hope we hang on to our bus, eh?
I mean, yes, whether that happens is going to be another matter, isn't it?
Okay.
I've got 2 more, I think.
Go on then. You've been reminded, have you?
Yeah. That's all right. I don't mind. Back the lane. Brian still haven't heard anything about what what's the building company called?
Alison Holmes, yeah.
About the lane.
Alison Holmes. Yeah, Northwood Lane, yeah.
And also,
Before you go, there's a rumour that Alison Holmes were going to pave that. Is that right? I've heard that.
well, I heard that as well. Yeah, doing the lane up because they're using it.
Because that's the only way that the chapels can get in now, isn't
You
it?
don't get in and out that way. at
Yeah,
the moment.
yeah.
But also drains down through the village. They've silted right up to the top, and there's puddles on top of the drains. It's all to do with the builders up the main street.
County Council.
Obviously, they ought to be held. They sweep the roads every now and again after they get it dirty, but they should be getting a contractor in, clear the drains, suck out all the catch pits.
Well, no wonder they don't have a meeting with us, do they?
That's right.
All right. Well, that's something on the agenda we can have with Alison Holmes then. Right? Might be a good idea. All right? Might be a good idea. Thank you, Trevor. Okay, we now come to planning applications. Change in time, Buckland Brewer, Bideford, Devon, regularisation of alterations to internal layout and installation of external soil pipe. Anybody have a look at this?
Yeah.
Good. All right?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's fine.
Yeah, no probs. Mr. and Mrs. Way proposed subdivision of one dwelling to number 3 dwellings, Hayward Barn Court, Barton Court, Buckland Brewer, Bideford, Devon. Everybody had a look at this?
It was granted permission, wasn't it, in 2019, but nothing. They obviously didn't do anything.
No.
Oh, wasn't it?
No.
Or was it all withdrawn?
Which one was that?
This is the one where, down at Barton Court.
Barton Court.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Splitting the big house into 3, isn't it?
yeah, that's right. Yeah.
I think we objected, didn't we, because of the people living in Barton Court were worried about it because they're only using the one access, and they thought another 3 houses would put a strain on the access.
Well, you live in Barton Court. What do you think?
Firstly, I'd like to see it stopped too. I think it's going to create havoc.
All right. I know. Andrew's not here and he's not on the parish council, but I know he was opposed to it. I don't mind being opposed to anything the way it's sorry, something else. Right. If that's the feeling, we can oppose it.
I don't know, I'm just saying what we did last time.
What did we do last time?
I think we just about proposed, I thought we just about supported it, wasn't it?
Well, this is a resubmission then. They must have submitted it or gone at a time.
We didn't support it.
Well,
No.
No, I don't.
No, we don't support it, Joe.
Sorry,
Yeah.
I've got a funny feeling I ought to declare an interest.
Well, declare an interest in George, that's all right. Yeah, all
I
right.
think the reason we didn't support it was because of the access.
Yeah, there you go. Right.
So sorry, just clarity then. It's because of...
Access, amount of traffic.
I think that was the problem, that was what was raised the last time,
Yeah,
was the
yeah. I know
access.
Andrew was opposed to it because of the amount of traffic in our
And I
friend
don't
over.
think they've done
our friend
anything
over
to
here.
the kind of display of the kind of...
Don't hold your hopes up high. Torridge will turn it over, I suspect.
Well, it would be better if it was tarmac, wouldn't it? Instead of loose gravel that comes right out on the road.
Okay. Well, that's not part of the planning application, Trevor, though I agree with you. Right. Yeah, declared an interest. All right, George. Right, the next thing is this land off of Orley Close, part retrospective application for the construction of a basin and ancillary development, including landscaping in association with planning permission, blah, 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 blah. Has everybody had a look at this one?
Yep.
Retrospective. It's already happened, isn't it?
Well, the only thing that concerns me is on the health and safety front is I'd like to know how big this fence is that's going round it. And on that's south, so that'd be east side, it just talks about trees. And it's going to be a lot of water. I understand why they need to build it, but I'm a bit worried about in terms of safety with kids and what have you, and whether we ought to say we're not opposed to it, but we are concerned about the fact that the fence should be foolproof in terms of and what is the height of the fence, because it doesn't even say what height the fence is. I mean, I would assume it's going to be 6-7 feet, but you can, knowing these developers, they'll want to do something else.
Is that in Brian's?
No, this is yeah, it's in Brian's, yeah, but it's for both sites, Trevor.
Yeah.
There,
Yeah.
see?
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's on the entrance to Mash. field.
Oh, yeah.
There's that little strip which is very mashing, isn't it? Which is kind of on the entrance.
Down the bottom where, you know, when you go down in, you go into Brian's and you come out of his field and start turning left going up to his house, his bungalow, it's there.
Yeah.
We opposed one, didn't we, in Brommells when they had a great big reservoir in the in the corner of that field.
But I think they've they put it
No,
all
this
together.
will be an amalgamated.
And there's that, and there's a stream that runs down that field.
See, I think it'll get passed by Torridge, but I think we ought to put a rider on there.
Yeah.
That we want.
Got to make sure it's safe.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, childproof, yeah.
But there won't be no water in it because you'll be running all the time. But
Be some.
this is going to be a retention, is it?
Yeah,
Yeah, just like a reservoir, isn't it?
like a little reservoir.
Flood prevention.
Some prevention, isn't it? It's the runoff, isn't it? It takes the runoff water.
And I guess some of it will go into that stream that goes down to the woods. Down to your, eh? Yeah, down to the woods, the stream that goes into the woods, down at your woods.
Northwood, whatever. Yeah. Well, it's got to be childproof, right?
Yeah, I mean, we just want reassurances, don't we?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
No, I keep the land.
So they're not going in through, Sorry. I'm thinking lots
They went through lower rail park, well, anyway.
No,
Not with that one.
no, there's only a footpath going to connect them.
Oh, this is wrong, sorry.
Yeah, Bromwell's and Brian.
It's Bromwell's and Brian's together.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm right.
Yeah,
'Cause there's
yeah, the one on the left is Bromwell's and the one on the right is Brian's.
Oh, I see. Well, that's going to go right there through me.
Yeah.
yeah.
Put a bigger bridge, George.
You can have that water.
All right. Okay, the next one is Little Collingdown, Buckland Brewer stationing of a mobile home for elderly parents. I presume it'll be used, will it? Is that how you read it? It says Little Collingdown.
Retrospective.
No, that's not retrospective. Last one, Trevor. Little Collingdown, Buckland Brewer, stationing of a mobile home for elderly parents. Occupancy restrictions.
Yeah, of course.
It was approved in 1982, but now they want to alter the variation on the occupancy
Parents could go
restriction.
somewhere.
It's already there,
It's got to go somewhere.
So,
but they just altering the
Yeah.
whatever they call it again.
Occupancy
Occupancy.
restriction.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can know.
Yeah, no, support.
use.
I don't see a problem with it
All right.
because it's, they didn't like building a new building.
No.
It's
Okay.
just,
Seems everybody's. You all right?
Yeah, it's fine.
Fine.
You all right? You all right?
I'm fine, yeah.
Yeah, we're fine. We're fine.
Before
Good,
we go to, this is just a query. Did we ever have any comeback on that moving of the post box out by Gorewood?
Yeah, it's in the report. Did we not have did they come back to talk to us?
Yeah, they said that it referred on and they wouldn't remove it until we were contacted about the position of repositioning it.
It's got to go up the management chain.
Well, I suspect nothing will happen to it.
Yeah, all
It's
right.
been gone because they've taken a huge entrance out and the post is gone.
Was that?
Yeah.
Is
the
the milk
postman-
stand gone?
Well, I think the postman was looking for it because before a post box can be removed, they have to check that there's no post in it. Because somebody can put a post in it. But,
I have now on my Christmas cards.
so, but it's gone already, yeah.
Yeah, good idea.
Postmark's still in it.
Okay.
Right. We're missing the Christmas cards.
Okay, now the biggie.
Yeah.
All right. Well, is that in the budget? No, not really. I've never been done in part 3 before. Part 2? Not part 3, part 2.
Yeah, with the public, general public, done in amongst themselves.
Well, I've got no problem about the general public being here. Because it should have said, if you wanted to do that, it should have said part 2 meeting. On the agenda, it hasn't, so we really can't do it. Okay. All right, Joe, we're waiting for you. So what have we got in the two figures in terms of reserves? What have we got in the savings account?
Savings account's 27,000 as well, so it's 27.5 in the council account. These are balances as of the 20th
Yeah.
of December, because that's the latest statement.
Right.
And then 27.3 in the savings account.
Right.
As I
27.3.
said, yeah, and 16.9 in Thornhill Head War.
16.9. Right. Okay.
Other things, just to quickly mention, I mentioned Barks Bank. We've had a quotation for a new website. So it's £520 to build it and maintain it.
Can we leave that to the budget? Because we need to discuss some principles really before we during the budget.
Yeah, that's fine.
How long have we had the current website?
Good. 10, 8. Must be 8 years.
I was reckoning.
Yeah, 8 years.
Change it after a while.
Yeah. I think we've got to make some decisions about. It's not a must-do, is it? It's something that we'd like to do, and I just want to see if we got where we are in terms of what we got in reserves, accounts, and what our feeling is about precept and how much you want to increase the precept by, or don't want to increase the precept. And therefore,
It's whether it meets its purpose. Is it? Are we using it to full advantage, that website?
well,
There's a lot of stuff on there, which I agree is good. But is there anything?
oh yeah, I think we could make it. We could make it whiz bang, all sorts of things. Eh? No, no, but we could make a new website a whiz bang. Yeah. But I think that's the debate we've got to have in terms of what we want to do with this budget this year. All right.
Yeah.
All right.
Before we move on, can I have a proposer and a seconder for the payments, please?
Yeah. Right. Seconder. Right. Right. Okay. Thanks, Joe. Well, but it should have said it on the agenda, Trevor. Right. Okay. We want to talk about the budget now? All right. Right. The moment the precept is £14,500. If we were actually not to increase it, that would go up to 14,720, just by the fact we've had some additional houses. Couple of points. As you will see from our staff costs now, we have extra staff costs because we've got a webmaster.
What page are you looking at?
I'm looking at this page at the moment, and I'll go through Joy's comments in a minute.
Second page.
I'm looking at the second page. Right, look at the second page. Right. And that nearly consumes our precept, believe it or not. If you take in finance and legal costs, administration and governance, and salaries. So that's something to bear in mind when going through this evening. The second point I would make is that there are one or two things I would question whether or not, in terms of the draft budget, and thank you, Joe, for doing this, it's a lot of work. In terms of the draft budget was the provision for fly tipping, £750. We didn't spend anything like that this year. Also, I can find it.
We're sharing one.
All right. Also, there's fitness and wellbeing activities, £1,000. Not sure what project that's going to go on.
Oh, thank you.
And we got the King's coronation. We've got £500 for that. Barbara, sure you would comment, or somebody would comment on that, please.
I got that one catalyst.
And if we look to the front page, it talks about rents in Thornhill Abmas. I'll talk to Joe about this. It says £5,000 from the mass. As remember, we used to get £1 a year when I first got on the parish council. That is now 5,000. Went from 3,000 to 5,000, and it's still at 5,000 because the only time they'll change it is when they put extra equipment on the mast.
So we've got to have extra equipment before we go up to 7.
Yeah. No. Joe misunderstood it in terms of the way that it actually increased. It was an annual increase. I wish it was.
Well, Mr. Chair, I tell you what, these telephone companies, they're trying to reduce this lot by 90%, so it's got to keep an eye on it.
Yeah. Right. The other thing I was going to comment on was the last page. It talks about this total reserve now, Joe. Is that still £42,322?
Yeah, because what I was basing it on was the current balance of the savings account plus £15,000 being returned
Right.
from the current account.
Right.
That's what we want to do.
Yeah.
So some of these reserves are obviously in place and have been for some
Time.
The rest of it, I was just looking at where we probably need to earmark some funds for.
Oh no, there's no problem about. We don't want to get to November and find out we've not covered something. I agree with you entirely about that.
So that would work, where that was coming from.
Yeah, I mean, we've got this. There's things we can't account for, which is the transfer of VAT back to us, which we never know what that's going to be.
Well, we do, but what I was going to suggest with that, we've got £4,500 outstanding,
Yeah.
And I was going to suggest that is left until the end of the accounting year, because it makes more sense than to inflate the...
Yeah, I understand that. That's fine. And the other thing is, I spoke to Steve Sherry today and I had a long conversation with him. The development reserve, which is basically the industrial development, we've got a budget here for £25,000. In fact, Steve said that's going to go, in terms of getting it to market, i.e. getting it to a full planning application, is going to cost £10,000. It seems as though he's not doing a mate rate, but he's doing a rate for the village, because he lives in it, which is very kind of him. I would suggest that we actually make that 15,000, and then we've got £10,000 spare in reserve.
Yeah, I wasn't necessarily thinking it was just for that, but do you want to split it then and actually have it as, or do you want to just leave it as...
Well, all I was going to say was that if we just put that in general, just call it general reserve, rather than that, that gives us a bit of flexibility in terms of sort of tying us down too tight.
What about the other bit, the social housing bits that we've talked about down the bottom?
Well, yeah, but we've talked about it. We haven't
done anything more.
We haven't done anything more about it. I mean, I understand Alison Homes were interested in building some social houses. Is that something else we could talk to them about?
Yeah, because that's something that it's been there for quite a few years now.
Yeah. And the other thing here is we've got emergency plan reserve. You've got £1,000. I think whatever we do and wherever we go, I think that's a bit tight. I think we want to increase that to a grant, have we? How much have we got in the grant?
2,500.
Oh yeah, we'll leave it then.
So that was why I thought that is probably going to be ample.
Oh yeah, that is ample. Yeah, that is ample. Yeah.
It was for the generator.
Oh,
Yeah.
It would have been
Yeah, we'll leave it at that, Joe. Yeah. Now, the big question is, do we want to increase the precept, or don't we want to increase the precept? I'll give you my view, and there's two things. I think one of the things we ought to be is a bit more disciplined about our grants and donations, not in the sense that we've listed some here, but we have £5,000 from the mast, and I think it equates, I added it all up, and it equates to about £5,000. That as and when we've got a budget for grants for £5,000, and we work from that. Because don't forget, we get to September, August, and we put a letter out to all organisations asking what grants they want. Perhaps the choir want one as well. And therefore we can actually make up our minds there and then what to use. But if we sort of discipline ourselves and say, well, we've got £5,000 that we're going to put to grants, then you don't have to put in all these red marks all over the place about whatever and never. Eh?
Please, could I just query that? I see we've got other grants down as 687. Then over here we've got 3 red ones, church, other grants, and Washery Scouts. That's not included in the 687 then.
Well, some of these have actually been, put through as sort of separate lines on the account, so it's not all put in on that. So these were just the ones that have been done as sort of separate ones over the years.
I don't want to, I mean, we do get ad hoc requests through the year, and I don't want to sort of stamp on them either. But as long as we got something in our mind about what we can do in terms of grants, and then people will realise it doesn't actually come out of their taxation, it comes out of our assets, because we're one of the very few parish councils in the county that got assets. Right, we know that the government has upped the cap. Go on. Yeah.
The grants, what was in the budget for last year for grants was a total of £4,350.
Yeah, if we make that £5,000, yeah. Yeah.
Sorry, this is off the payment schedule.
Yeah.
This is off the payment schedule.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Joe, then I thought what we do is, before we actually decide where we're going in terms of precept, we go through the notes that you've made. As far as the website is concerned, yeah, it does need updating, and it does need, it's getting a bit long in the tooth, and I quite agree. But it still serves a purpose. And whether we want this year to actually get it done and wait till next year is something I want you to think about. Stack melt, yeah, it's a pain in the backside, but it does work. And again, I would think we want to think about whether we want to do that this year or not. We've got some figures for, what did I do with that figure? I think it was £1,700, the cost of the local elections. That would be 50% between us and Torridge, if Torridge have elections for their district councillors. But if we only have elections for the parish council, that's how much it will cost us. 1,700 quid. Grants and donations. Yeah, I think...
Just say something about the elections.
Yeah.
Do we have to have elections, or is it only if we over...
If you have 9 or more, you have to have an election.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if there's less than 9, then we don't?
No, and if it's 9, you don't.
We don't pay them if there's less than...
No, we don't have an election. And we've got to keep some for by-elections, because we do have by-elections in the past. Although we try and co-opt people on, but that's not always possible. Grants, donations, well, yeah, I think they've worked very well so far. And I think we try and spread the grants across all age levels. in terms of benefiting the community, whether that benefit is outside of the parish or inside of the parish. So I wouldn't want to change that at all. Church, graveyard and youth services, I presume, no, they're not one-offs, Joe?
No, I put them in, I just wasn't sure,
No, they're not one-offs. No.
you know, whether they were just annual, whether they are annual.
No. Yeah. David, no doubt, will be able to tell us a bit more. That's a gathering ground, isn't it, in terms of your youth project?
Yeah, they're still going to be struggling.
Eh?
Money-wise.
No. Have you got Dave for getting it all off the ground yet?
What, the,
The youth project?
oh, youth project, sorry. We've got, the meeting is now going to be on the 27th of January because we had to move it from the 20th.
Yeah.
Which I'll put around. But, yeah, we'll see what happens, see what people think and what support or what people are willing to help, and we go from there, really, I think. And we probably would be looking to start probably September, I would have thought, time to get everything sorted out. But that's what we're going to be looking at.
Okay.
But it does depend on who comes to the meeting on the 27th in the hall, you know, and what kind of you know, what people think.
Okay, fine. We gave the coronation, we gave the Platinum Jubilee a grant of £500. Are we gonna, you still got some money left over from last time?
There is still money in
Do you know how much?
200?
I think it was the same as we started with.
Yeah, it was
Not
around.
the same as we started with, about
Well, that's-
275.
Oh, that's all right then. Okay. So that will, no great, gain momentum in the new year. But getting that off the ground.
You've got
Yeah. Oh, actually, were they?
Or was
We
that
had,
no, we had
there
a
was
separate-
a second lot, wasn't there?
Yeah, that Pat had applied for.
Yes.
I think Leslie organised the mugs, didn't she? Leslie organised the mugs.
Yeah, and Pat applied for, there was money going for it. So that was sort of separate, that he could get some money. So it's not from parish council money.
No, I think
Not for the
it
mugs.
was from a grant, wasn't it?
It was, yeah, grant.
Right. The one,
People bought them, didn't they?
the one big, yeah, okay. I mean, I presume we'll do it again. The bonfire night, I thought that went down very well and it seemed very popular. That was from a grant, remember, when we were coming out of COVID and, you know. Whether we sponsor that again, we need to discuss, or whether we ask the playing field whether they're interested in running it. Although the actual facilities we had at the village hall, although we weren't allowed in, Trev, were we? We're fine, with the bar, and also we had the meat wagon, as it were, there. So that went down quite well. So have a think about that. Hall extension. No, we didn't. We wouldn't be in a position to give any meaningful monies to the hall extension. We didn't contribute to the last hall, the new hall being built. In fact, I chaired a meeting in the school where we had 50 people there in the audience about giving £1,000 to the village hall to pay for their insurance every year. But the quid pro quo for all that was that village hall would be our emergency hub in terms of an emergency. And that's the status quo at the moment. Playing field, does the PC want to provide any support aside from grass cutting, e.g. new play equipment? The only thing with the play equipment is that there needs to be an inspection, and that will cost £150. And I'm sure the Playing Field Association will be writing to us, asking us to support that. No, but it's good. It's a good agenda to talk about amongst ourselves, Joe. No, it's terrific. It's fine. Other new projects? Well, I don't think we've got any big projects like we had this year on the agenda. as far as I can see anyway. Certainly not any outdoor fitness centres. Industrial units, I've explained what that is. Insurance increase due to fitness equipment. Yep, I agree, 10%. Allotment income. Well, we've got the meeting. That's the allotments are going up, aren't they, in the spring? Cost of allotments. Building paths. Yeah, that's been looked after. Emergency equipment already attained. That's for the emergency plan. Administration costs. Now, there's two ways of going about this. We can actually, I think, stay to the same precept, which would actually be of no cost to anybody. It'd be neutral. One of the reasons I'm in favour of that is that times are hard. Devon County Council, I'm sure, will put theirs up to from 2.99% to 4.99%. Torridge will put theirs up from 2.99% to 4.99%. And I think, although ours is not very much, I think we can afford to actually keep the precept at where it is this year. And I'd just like to have views from my colleagues about that and some of the points I've already made. General discussion.
So is that option 2 then?
The other option is the big cost we've had this year is the recruitment, and quite rightly so, to run the parish website. Whether or not, we could say to the parish, well, we've had to do this, so we're going to add this onto our precept, but I'm not sure that we should increase it by that sort of money.
I would be in favour of trying to hold it this
Yeah,
year.
if we can.
We did talk about it last year, didn't we?
And we didn't.
And didn't do it.
No.
I think this year.
Yeah, I think we've got enough reserves
Things are.
if we've got problems.
And it's going to go up, slightly anyway.
Well, it's going to go up slightly anyway to 14,720, but it will go up substantially next year because of the new housing development.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean, we'll just stick where we are, and it'll just, the money will increase.
The new houses coming on will take care of the precept.
I think, if we can, I think we ought to have no change.
Yeah.
If we can do it, then I think that's what we should. If we're forced to raise it, then we will. But if we don't have to raise it, I don't think we should. Like I said, natural growth will increase the precept for us.
Trevor?
Yeah, I'd be happy just to hold it for 12 months and see.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, George?
So to clarify then, we are going for option 2, which means that the precept will actually rise slightly because of the increase in tax base.
Yeah.
But it's not going to cost.
Not going to cost us? No.
No.
Okay, so that.
Yeah, that's an agreement. Yeah.
yeah, sounds good.
All right.
Yeah.
Well done. Thank you, Joe, for all the information. It was terrific.
Thank you, Joe.
Yeah, we have. We've got a normal parish council meeting.
Well, you could go back to the 25th. We had brought it forward because of the precept.
Yeah, we could do.
It's going to take 2 meetings.
Could do. I should be in Tenerife anyway. Yeah. Do you want to meet next week? Because we had to meet.
Actually, sorry, you don't need to meet again in January.
We don't need to meet again in January if we don't want to.
Just wait until
February. We could do.
Wait until February.
Wait until February. All right.
Yeah.
All right. Okay.
So, will you let Lorna know?
Yes.
Oh, no, we're not here.
We're not here. We were going to church schoolroom,
Yeah, it'll be at school, yeah.
which we couldn't stream anyway. So there we go.
Are we meeting in school?
No, not now.
We'll be back here.
We're back here.
No.
January.
So the next meeting.
Okay.
So we'll be back to the normal meeting.
Yeah. Thanks, Joe. Yeah.
February.
Okay. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for coming.
So we're doing the 3 different meetings, am I?
Oh, God, really? What, in 2 weeks' time? Or next
All right.
week? Oh, bless your heart.
Now you know what you're going to do.
Stop that.
Oh, you're going to do it now? I do charge for my teaching fee.
I don't know, start tomorrow again. Well, yeah.
How are you feeling? That's
I'm
most
the owner
important.
of